fängst du an.
Yeah. Welcome guys, it's time for another battle report and army list discussion for the next upcoming tournament. I think it's the 6th tournament in Bad Oldesloe.
Yeah.
It's called Feuertaufe and it's more or less the same as usual. So 1,250 points, 2 platoons. They can be either infantry or armored, but not both. And theater selectors are allowed. Theater selectors are allowed is a great keyword because this in fact just allows me to play this army. Because this time I'll be playing my Chinese 8th Route army inspired from the movie Assembly. Those of you who have watched it, don't worry. I know that the movie is 2 years later in the Chinese Civil War, but I'm thinking about this is the prequel to that. So where Captain Gu learns his craft and becomes the leader he later is.
Captain Gu.
He's called Cixi Gu.
Ah, okay.
It's an amazing movie. It's a Chinese production, and it's as you would expect from a Chinese production. Okay, speaking of that, I've brought my 115th division of the 8th Route Army, roughly at the time of the Battle of Pingsingduan, where the Chinese ambushed a Japanese column that, because of the many victories before that, completely forgot about securing their own columns and therefore lost over 100 trucks of supplies, from which they never recovered because by that the 5th Japanese division was temporarily out of order and defeated. It's still today an example of setting up ambushes in the Chinese army, and it's still a moral victory story from them, so we're going through all the details here. You can see I've brought 1,250 points of Chinese. The models are mostly warlord and converted from Japanese with British, American and German parts, and they should somehow depict this makeshift army where the machine guns and the long-range weapons they had were in the cover groups, and there was a complete lack of heavy artillery. There were no own tanks. Chinese didn't really have tanks. The assault groups mainly used grenades and makeshift melee weapons, so I think I kind of be able to be representing that. So let's just dive in. What do I got here? It's 1 platoon, 18 order dice, and well, it's not made for making people like this particular list, and I'm completely honest about that. This is very historical, in fact, but it's still, as we mentioned in the beginning of this channel, we said we want to show you how strong historically correct lists can be, and I think this is a very good example because it's a simple meta breaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
8th Route Army, to give you an overview about the special rules about that, is listed as Chinese communist, although it would probably more be a communist nationalist combination because the nationalists supplied the weapons in the common act against the Japanese. And to wrap it up, you get a free squad of levy here, 14 guys. They're not green, nothing. They're just 14 inexperienced dudes with rifles.
That's your army backbone?
That's the backbone. Those will guard my objective. And you get one thing before the game, which is called Sparrow Move, which is basically a ranger move of 9" for everything that is not inexperienced. You'll see where this becomes pretty interesting later on.
Can you do the Sparrow Move only on free areas, or can you also do the 9" through obstacles like woods or
flat 9" move?
Nice.
Yeah.
Just to make clear for the audience.
And the things with obstacle and terrain will later on become interesting when we have a look at the units. The core unit of each 8th Route Army are guerrilla squads, not gorilla squads. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah. Okay, but let's start with the HQ. I've got an inexperienced second lieutenant with someone to accompany him. very nice model from Heer 46, and this is Lieutenant C.G. Gu, who will later be Captain C.G. Gu in the Battle of the Coal Mine. And we have the political advisor. It's not a commissar, although Warlord labels them as commissars, but the Chinese army didn't have commissars, but political advisors in their ranks. They were not comparable to Russian commissars, and I think the rule of shooting your own people, it's rule-wise the same as a Russian commissar, doesn't really fit, because they didn't. Well, everyone shot each other in the Chinese army when you disobeyed our orders. That wasn't something particular for commissars. It was a little bit rough in tone. Okay, what do we got here? We got 2 cover groups of guerrilla squads with one LMG and one guy with a pistol, because I figured the loader doesn't really need a weapon, and it saves me 3 points. Guerrilla squads are quite expensive. Still, I took them as veteran, and by taking the pistol, I could deduct 3 points from that model, which is nice. And the special rules are actually interesting, not so much for them, but still, because every guerrilla squad is infiltrators, so they can set up like spotters. Remember the Sparrow move? This is really cool because you can start 36-inch or 35-inch deep into enemy territory. 33. Yeah, so you can really move forward. Additionally, they have fieldcraft. And this is where it gets kind of lame, because in the first turn you can actually do a run through rough ground, which gives you a 12-inch assault move when you want to charge someone in the first turn. Plus, they can start the game in ambush if you decide to not Sparrow move them somewhere.
I like you saying it gets kind of lame.
Yeah. And they have some other special rules which are not interesting for us now. Yeah, just forget about it. I got my free levy squad. 14 guys, inexperienced, so they can't Sparrow move, but this is why they're sitting on objectives in the back rank, and if not, they're going down as soon as someone wants to shoot at them. And then we're getting into the interesting part. I got 4 squads of guerrillas, veteran with 3 submachine guns and 6 pistols in there. That will also start at the center line and then be able to move 9-inch, and then we'll have 9 veteran tough fighters that can charge 12-inch in the first turn.
Yeah, so 3 inches.
3 inches to the...
that aren't covered.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I still got pistols and SMGs, so I can kind of shoot, and if someone actually is as dumb, don't advance against this army and moves forward, it goes probably into ouch time. What else do we got? The typical lame stuff. I got a regular flamethrower team to move up a bit. I've got 5 regular cavalry troops to flank and scout a bit. 3 suicide anti-tank teams, veteran. I like to imagine them not being suicide, but more of improvised anti-tank weapons and guys with anti-tank mine lying in a ditch and then just throwing it below tracks and running away and stuff like that, and not actually exploding on the front plate of the tank, because this also was not necessarily something Chinese did. I've got a sniper team, regular. I think just it's fine because it fits the theme, and ranged weapons are quite scarce in that army. I've got a heavy mortar, regular with a spotter. Also another unit that can forward deploy, so you kind of see the forward deployment, 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 forward deployment here, and here. Okay. I think there are 12 units that can forward deploy. Then we have a light howitzer with a spotter, with 5 crew and a gun shield. Yes, this counts as a gun shield, and the donkeys count as additional crew, because it simply can buy 2 more crew for 5 points each. And with a veteran with gun shield, this is something you definitely want to do. And we have Type 92, I think it is, Hokokugo, captured armored car from the Japanese with a hull-mounted light machine gun, a turret-mounted medium machine gun, or vice versa. I don't know. It's wheeled armor 7, and it's got recce, and it costs 75 points. So there isn't really a reason to not take that. Plus, there's only crap in the armored car slot or in the tank slot anyway, so you don't really have to make a trade-off there. Yeah, that's it. 18 order dice, 1,248 points. I'm really curious to see how that works and how people would play against it, if they play against it. Yeah, and I didn't really have the time for test games
until now,
and
I'm not curious.
To be fairly honest, I had problems finding an opponent, but yeah.
So I have to be the punching bag today. Yeah, nice.
It's not like he's not having a super lame power playlist too, which we'll show you now after we showed you some close-ups of this army.
Yeah. Alright, after Jan introduced his army, I will now introduce my army, which I will be taking to the tournament. I beg your pardon, it's not fully painted right now, because I have to do the M3 Steward. And it's not totally historically accurate. I would say the scout department could be historically accurate, but there are some things like the AA truck, the Dist 3 that wouldn't be in a scout or reconnaissance department of a Soviet infantry or guards division. So that's where I'm partly differ from the original plan. Otherwise, I think I can say that we both thought for the next tournament that we also wanted to show that some units are really, really strong just because they have certain special rules, and you will shortly see what I mean, because I will now talk you through my army. Let's start with the easy things. It's one heavy mortar, regular with the spotter. I have a ZIS-3 divisional gun, which can function as a light howitzer or medium anti-tank gun. Basically for anti-tank purposes, because on the last tournament there were some armored platoons with lots of Shermans in one Soviet list, and I had a hard time dealing with that with my British airborne. Then I have the free 12-man inexperienced rifle squad with all the extras you can take, so basically the anti-tank grenades, and one additional 11-man rifle squad for a few more buddies on the table, because the backbone of my army consists of five-man veteran scout squads, all with FMGs, and even if they have quite some punch, they are not really that strong and resilient and can be easily taken down and wiped off. So these 5 squads are scouts. What is their special rule? They can also forward deploy, which means against Jan's unit, our armies will more or less meet at the middle line of the table, and then we beat the crap out of each other.
Will be a short game, I guess.
Yeah. Additionally to those 5 forward deployment units, I have 5 anti-tank rifle teams, 2 men each, with 1 Panzerfaust.
I think it's not anti-tank rifle, but anti-tank team.
Yeah, anti-tank teams, right. They're called Tank Hunter Anti-Tank Team. And they can also forward deploy. They are also veteran. In this case, with rifles, because I want them as an additional AT asset, even if I also think perhaps it could be a bit too much. Their special rule is also a tough tank hunter, which means they get no minuses on assaulting tanks, and every hit they do in that assault can be rerolled just like tough fires in infantry close combat. And the first time I roll out this unit is the Dogmine anti-tank team. They are regulars, and the NCO plus the 1 dog handler each has one of the AT dogs, which can attack enemy tanks, and if it hits, gets I think it's +8 penetration for the dog, but I have to look it up. Yeah, and those are 2 generic platoons, no theater selectors, and both squads or platoons are led by the junior inexperienced lieutenant, just because I haven't had that much points left, and you need an officer, because most of the things are veteran. I think you don't really need high officers in that list, because there are only 2 inexperienced units which could have a bonus for their moral, which they really need, and the rest can stand for itself. And I have also a commissar, just to get those 2 squads perhaps going a little bit more. And that's it.
His
Okay.
posture looks, by the way, as if he's got shot in the chest right now.
Yeah, he's shouting Soviet things. Yeah, the 2 vehicles, 1 in each platoon. I already mentioned the gas AAA quad Maxim truck with 4 MMGs. In this case, the special rule is they don't have 5 shots.
Yeah, they only have 4 shots.
They only have 4 shots, yeah. And so I could put out 16 shots with 1 vehicle for 60 points. We already mentioned it, I think, in our first army list discussion for the first tournament we went to with our channel. And the M3 Stuart light tank. Army-wise, I think it would make sense with the scout department, because it's part of the reconnaissance of division. It's land and lease. At least it could be possible that they work together. It's the Stuart light tank with 8+ armor, has a light anti-tank gun, and also has the, in my opinion, still stupid rules with all the MGs and the sights which can shoot at different targets. In this case I use it for simple infantry killing possibility to just hopefully beat the crap out of 1 infantry unit, just like the AAA truck should do. And it's also part of my anti-tank asset. If all those Panzerfaust guys fail, this 3 and the Steward have to do what they couldn't. Alright. That's my army. It's 21 order dice, so lots of dice in this game. And I forgot one thing. Sniper, also forward deployment, as we already know.
They just fit the theme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Then look at the details of his figures.